Jiminy Cricket, this thing is freaking fast.
Hey crew, I've got the key to that 23 Audi RSQ8. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. No real notable changes for the 23 model year, so the RSQ8 remains the covert performance machine. Call-out details include these 3 notches just below the hood within the gray painted border for this gloss black grille. We have a red RSQ8 badge here, standard LED matrix headlights with LED DRLs and turn signals. There are functional corner vents and some silver painted details down low. This paint job is called Waitomo Blue Metallic, and it's got a hint of green in that color, in addition to that bright metallic flake. At the side, the RSQ8 gets standard 22-inch wheels. We have the optional 23s, and they're wrapped in Continental Sport Contact summer tires, 295 section front and rear. But the real excitement is within those wheels, where the RSQ8 gets carbon ceramic brakes measuring 17.3 inches in diameter up front, basically longer than the tip of my finger to the bend in my elbow, and that is crazy to see within a wheel. There are more silver details for the mirror caps, window trim, and roof rails. Stepping back to look at the profile. Now this is coming from someone who doesn't love the SUV coupe segment, but I'm looking at this RSQ8 and going, yeah, I dig it. In fact, the only 2 SUV coupes I like are based on the same platform. We've got this and the Porsche Cayenne coupe. Here at the back, we find a subtle roof-mounted spoiler. There are LED taillights and turn signals. Some fake vents here on the side, don't love those. RSQ8 badge and more silver details for the prominent diffuser with 2 oval exhaust ports around 4 individual pipes. The RSQ8 is a handsome SUV. My question for you though is, did they do enough to distinguish it from the Q8 and SQ8? Here is their performance halo SUV. Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up and looking inside at this black Nappa leather interior with a standard panoramic sunroof and RS logos on the seat back. The gray contrast stitching is part of the RS design package. This quilted pattern is perforated, and the rear seats are heated as an option. On the doors, we find leather up top and here for your armrest, suede inserts, matte carbon fiber trim, an optional Bang & Olufsen sound system, and injection molding down low in the door. Stepping inside, behind my own seat at 6 feet tall, I've got loads of knee room. This mat pocket is netted and will wear out quickly. Good sized foot pockets are here to slide my feet under, and thigh support is solid, but it gets even better because you can slide the seat back and recline it to give you even more space. Headroom is great regardless. My head clears the roof, gets the thumbs up from me, and that roof is suede wrapped. So very nice. And there's more suede wrapping above the air vents in the center, your 4-zone climate control system, and the 2 USB-C ports and a DC outlet. The draft shaft hump is kind of wide, not too high though, so it's pretty easy to get into the middle where I fit with headroom once again. So you could put 3 full-size adults in the back of the RSQ8 if needed. If you don't have that situation, then there's an armrest that comes down with 2 deploying cup holders. Let's check out the front next. Now technically we don't need to slam these doors shut because this RSQ8 has the available soft close feature, but just to hear that build quality, let's do it. Such a good thud. And we've got smart keyless entry for the rear and front doors. These front seats are standard heated and ventilated and here equipped with the optional massage. Power adjustments are on the side. We've got aluminum accented foot pedals and tread plates, plus an RS floor mat. Pull this tab to pop up that tailgate and find a generous 31 cubic feet of space. If you need more room, you can fold down those rear seats 40-20-40, but you're gonna have to go to the back doors and pull the tabs. I wish you could release them from back here. You can at least raise or lower the air suspension to make it easier to load in cargo, and there's a power close and lock button on the tailgate for convenience. The front doors have the same materials as the back, plus we add power adjusting and power folding door mirrors and 2-position memory for the driver's seat. Letting this door soft close itself. Take a gander at the steering wheel, which is suede wrapped with that RS design package. And I love that they didn't make the rim of the wheel too thick, so it feels perfect in the hands. There is an RS logo on the bottom. Dinkier feeling paddles on the back of the wheel, that's unfortunate. You can reconfigure the digital instrument cluster. You have a head-up display as an option, stitched leather up on the dashboard. Those available Bang & Olufsen tweeters up there look cool. Lots of gloss black here on the passenger side around the illuminating Quattro badge at night. Matte carbon fiber trim on the dashboard looks great. We have a 10-inch touchscreen infotainment system that is quick responding. The layout is intuitive. It has haptic feedback, so you know your message has been received. And it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Beneath that infotainment is another screen, this one dedicated to climate and shortcuts. There's also a physical volume knob here. We've got a mingling of trims around the console, brushed silvery, matte carbon fiber, and then gloss black, which looks great for maybe an hour, but then it will smudge, it'll scratch, it'll collect dust. It just doesn't wear very well. I also like the Alcantara wrapping on the shifter, and then leather topping for the adjusting armrest slash console. And I say console, but I mean, that's the extent of your storage. There's a wireless charging pad and 2 USB-C ports in there. And your visibility is great. Plus, we've got standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic. I am into this cabin. It's luxurious, it's spacious, the technology is solid, and with the carbon fiber and the suede wrapping, it feels extra sporty compared to a standard Q8. And now it's time to take the RSQ8 for a drive. All right, let's fire it up. Little rumble from that V8, the tweeters come up. The exhaust note isn't too much, so your neighbors aren't going to hate you. We're going to select the drive mode here, and let's begin in comfort. Then when I go into reverse, that will bring up a high-resolution backup camera system, and we've got a bird's eye view off to the right. Lots of different angles to choose from. Front, rear, side, all that good stuff, plus a 3D projection. You can pan around. I wish it was in the same color as our Audi RSQ8. It's just a plain gray. Let's go back to the reverse cam in wide angle and scoot on out of here. You also have a parking assist feature, now as standard. If you aren't confident with that, down into drive, and away we go. We'll kick things off with the world famous horn test. So nice and cheery. It's kind of a perky horn. You almost want to press it. Turn signal sound. Quiet. I like that. It's quiet like the start-stop system is quiet, thanks to the 48-volt mild hybrid system that's running all the accessory functions in the vehicle. And that's working with a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 that produces 591 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, which is routed through an 8-speed automatic gearbox to all 4 tires. Here in the comfort drive mode, the throttle response has slackened, and yet the boost builds so early and there's so much power here that you can graze on the throttle and build that momentum. Then just coast down the motorway. The 8-speed automatic gearbox shifts imperceptibly. And that V8 working barely at a murmur in the background. The RSQ8 is just so darn approachable. You see the specs and you think it might be difficult to manage all this power, but it's not. The seats are comfortable. I do wish that the side bolsters could be adjusted so you could ease them up for cruising and then bring them back in if you were going to attack some corners. And I wouldn't mind being able to lower the driving seat 1 extra inch. Kind of give me a more immersive experience behind the wheel. Let's try the turning radius test. Fully cranked. Man, that is good. Wow. Rear wheel steering for the win. Pivoting us right around. Ride quality with these adaptive dampers and air springs. It's a touch firm. The 23-inch wheels certainly don't help with that. But you can feel what's going on in the road. It's still agreeable in 92% of situations. If you go over something truly nasty, like a pothole, the suspension crashes. And you don't necessarily feel the full crash that much, but you hear it. And when your brain hears the crash, it thinks you're being put through violence. And so your body kind of reacts to that. It tenses up and you stop being comfortable. But it's definitely not all the time. Most days, you're just cruising. Now it's time to see if the Audi RSQ8 is quick with a real-world 0 to 60 test. For that, I've got my race box set up here. I'm then going to hit the RS button on the wheel, bringing up all the sportiest settings for the RSQ8. Then I'm going to hit the traction control button, putting us in sport stability control. Now, while holding the brake, I'm going to pin the throttle, build up the boost for launch control. It's ready, and let's go. Felt like it was going to come out of its shoes. 3.67 seconds to 60. Wow. The feeling that we lost a tiniest bit of traction off the line, but then we hooked up and just blistered forward. Independent tests have seen as quick as 3.2 seconds to 60 for the RSQ8, and I fully believe it. That shark blue GT4 right next to us looks beautiful. And the sound of that engine woke up and delivered. Jiminy Cricket, this thing is freaking fast. Wow. In auto mode, it's quick to downshift and hurtle forward. Now we got to try manual mode. So click the selector over. I'll operate these dinky little paddles. Quick downshifts. Oh my. Lets me go all the way out to red line. Despite the fact that these feel awful, they do elicit quick shifts. Oh my gosh. This thing's a monster. It just is. We'll pop on the downshift like that. The hit of the upshift is intense. Like someone just came along and punched you square in the back. And you don't mind somehow. Wow. The V8 just sounds appropriately flustered now. We're not done with the RSQ8's performance. We've got to try it out dynamically next with a braking and handling test. So I'll carry some speed into this curve and we'll go full ABS with the brakes. Oh yeah, great feel. Wow, that turn in is quick. You can feel the rear wheels tucking us in.
Oh, that was inspired. I had no expectation it would be that good. Wow, it was so flat through that corner. The active anti-roll bars working, the rear wheel steering working, the limited slip differential in the rear. Oh my gosh, that was fun. I had to pull off the highway to show you the G readouts tell the truth here. 1.2 G pulled to the left, 1.1 G of acceleration, 1.1 G of deceleration. This thing is an animal. Now I do want to unpack this handling just a little bit more because I had turned off stability control completely for that corner. And I'm glad that I did, because it allowed me to see that there's just a tiny bit of understeer at the limit there. It plowed the nose a faint bit that I had to correct by lifting off the throttle. I couldn't just dab in more throttle and have it pivot the rear end around. Let's go out of manual mode here and let's put it in the auto drive mode. That sounds good. So there's just that little bit of understeer. Otherwise, everything else about that was sensational. I mean, the braking, the pedal never gave up on me. The way that we stopped was urgently. The tuck in, the steering was quick, really quick and accurate. Not a heap of feedback through the wheel, but I still knew what was going on because of the other senses of the RSQ8. Really, really impressive stuff from a handling perspective. And if you know that at the limit you're going to understeer just a little bit, then you can correct and you can work around that dynamically. Jeez. Now, while we're on the highway, let's actually put traction and stability back on. And I'm going to engage the adaptive cruise control system with a lane keep feature. It's not intended to be a hands-free system, but I'm just demonstrating that it does indeed hold us right in the center of the lane. A little bit of finessing that happens to find that center, moving between the lane markings, and yes, it wants my hands back on the wheel. And the NVH level, listening in for that, is very quiet. I swear this cabin is just as quiet as the Bentley Bentayga I was just in. And yes, I know they share the same platform, but you'd think that one would have a lot of extra insulation, but no, this is just as quiet. You hear a little bit of that wind noise, a little hum from the tires, but it's so mellow, it's so relaxed. And for it to have those two personalities so clearly defined, the athleticism balanced with the comfort, it's wonderful. And that's going to lead me into the miles per hour word of the day, which for the Audi RSQ8 is clandestine, meaning secret or covert. Because unless you've had intimate exposure to the RSQ8, you would never be able to tell by looking at it that it's this pleasant to drive and then flip a switch and this insanely aggressive. Now, before we get into pricing and competition, let's talk about the fuel economy and top speed. The fuel economy is 13 mpg in the city, 20 on the highway, and 16 combined, while the top speed is 190 miles per hour. It's only 3 miles per hour lower than the fastest SUV you can buy, the Aston Martin DBX 707. The starting figure for the RSQ8 is about $127,000, and it competes with vehicles like the BMW X6M competition that starts at $128,000, makes 617 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.6 seconds, has a top speed of 177 miles per hour, and fuel economy of 15 combined. There's also the Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S Coupe. It's a lot of letters and numbers. That starts at $121,000, makes 603 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.5 seconds, has a top speed of 174 miles per hour, and fuel economy of 17 combined. And finally, the stablemate to the RSQ8, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe. And really, this is in between the GTS and the Turbo GT, but I'll go with the Turbo GT because that one is a coupe version of the SUV only. It starts at $182,000. It makes 631 horsepower, gets to 60 in just 2.9 seconds, has a top speed of 186 miles per hour, and fuel economy of 16 combined. That means that objectively, the RSQ8 is the least expensive, and yes, it makes the least power, but its performance benchmarks are right in line with its main rivals. And then subjectively, I find this SUV to be the most effortlessly comely, both outside and in. The ride is firm but fair. The performance is blistering when you want it and precisely how you want it. Only the Cayenne Turbo GT, though I haven't driven it, I have driven the Cayenne GTS. I know the steering of that SUV is going to be better. Everything else, the RSQ8 can definitely hang for a lot less money. The only argument I really have against this SUV as my pick in the segment would be that the SQ8 exists. For 30 grand less, it's giving up 90 horsepower, but has very close to the same performance numbers and drives effectively the same. That's the only thing I have to say negative. Otherwise, the RSQ8 would be my pick if we didn't bring in the Cayenne GTS, if we were just focusing on the coupes, because the Cayenne GTS is the best driving SUV I've ever piloted. Which would you choose? Would you go RSQ8? Would you go AMG GLE 63S Coupe? Would you go X6M Competition? Would you go Cayenne Turbo GT? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you've enjoyed this POV drive review. If you did, please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified, and I'll see you next time.